budget that you did introduce the same day of the state of the county address. Of course, it addresses school construction from MCPS, addresses child care facilities throughout the county, Montgomery.
Go ahead and get started. I am going to all right, I just texted Councilmember Jawando, but we're going to go ahead and get started. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to our Education and Culture Committee meeting. Today we have two items on our agenda. The first one is a special appropriation to the FY20 operating budget for Montgomery County Public Schools in the amount of $24,768,196 for the CARES Act Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund. That is a long name. And certainly is one that reflects the expenses that our school system is outlaying. I am going to turn to Dr. Smith and Dr. McKnight, as well as Mr. Morella, Ms. McGuire, if any questions are on the way in terms or comments that we need in terms of understanding where this money is going, what it's going for. But did just want to say this is a result of what we've heard about with the CARES Act relief in terms of making sure that additional funding was going to our entities who needed that assistance. And so once we received notice from MSDE, from our Maryland State Department of Education, in terms of the amount of money, that then is how this supplemental came about. So I want to thank Mr. Howard, as always, for creating a very robust and thorough packet that outlines all of the details as to where the money comes from. And of course, let me turn to my colleagues first to see if they have any opening remarks or questions. Councilmember Navarro.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's good to see everybody and Superintendent, and as well as Dr. Monifa McKnight, Ms. McGuire, everybody who's here. And I'm looking forward to the conversation, of course, Mr. Morella as well. Looking forward to the conversation to understand, and also for the public to know where these funds are going, and the importance, actually, of course, of these funds. I think that everybody, of course, is very eager to have a full understanding of how we're moving forward with our education, specifically, obviously, because of this pandemic. But I believe that these federal funds, who are very important, and hopefully more to come at some point that we're all trying to advocate for, will be of great assistance. So I really do appreciate everybody here and trying to figure out where we're going next with all of this, obviously. It's never enough, we understand that, but I believe that especially conversations that are happening on so many different levels, it's all about how we as leaders need to adapt to this, I don't want to call it new normal, but it really is sort of a very different paradigm. And this, I believe, it's a good way to start rethinking, reimagining, if you will, and investing in our students. So really appreciate everything that everybody has done, how crazy of a time it has been. And I think our students, parents, the staff at NCPS, everybody has come together in such an amazing way. So really do want to express my appreciation again, but also recognizing that, yes, funds are definitely going to be limited, and we at the county level are still trying to understand what our, the hit for us is going to be. But really, really appreciate how all of you continue to do everything possible to support our students as well as our staff. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Navarro. Councilmember Jawando, welcome. It was just allowing for anybody, if you had any opening remarks regarding CARES funding.
No, thank you. Good to be here. I'll be very brief. Good to see everybody, Dr. Smith, Dr. Knight, Ms. McGuire, and our staff, and Mr. Morella. Thank you for being here. A tough time, as Councilmember Navarro was saying, and we were weighing a lot on so many different areas, and we don't, at the time in great uncertainty where we don't actually know because of the lagging indicators, exactly what the gaps are going to be. So we're trying to do the best we can, but all of us, I think you know this, Dr. Smith, because you always say it, which we appreciate, understand the importance and the value of MCPS and what you do for our students and families, and that has to be at the top of any list of how we make sure that we're keeping things going in the right direction, especially with all this uncertainty. So thank you for all that you all are doing, and I look forward to the continued discussion.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much to both of my colleagues. Mr. Howard, just again to reiterate, the Board of Education is the one who actually requested this appropriation on June 11th, and then we consequently introduced it on the 16th. In our previous meeting, where we did budgetarily adopt the maintenance of effort budget, it was very clear, and this committee and the council said, was very explicit that as we knew there would be additional expenses, then I think, Dr. Smith, you were in the neighborhood of $80 million. 80 million to 100 million was what you had said publicly at that meeting, and we had said that we needed to make sure that we met the need. So we've already been on record as a council and saying that we understand, and so this is a down payment on that 80 to 100 million dollars. And so certainly we know that there's going to be more discussions to come about what it is that we need to do to continue that we're shoring up our school system. And so from that respect, certainly we'll hope that we continue to see assistance come from the state as well as the federal government in ensuring that a lot of the cost outlays that you have are met, but certainly want to do our part as well in terms of ensuring that we transfer the money that's appropriate so that you can be made whole. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Howard to walk us through some details, and then turn it over to MCPS at that point.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon, council members,
and all the MCPS folks joining us today. Just a couple of things I wanted to mention to make sure everyone is clear on this funding. The first, on the timing, the reason it's been introduced and it's going to committee and then to public hearing and action tomorrow is that the state notified MCPS very late on June 9th that this money needed to be accounted for in FY20 as opposed to FY21. When the council discussed the MCPS budget, we had talked about this funding and we knew it was going to come over. We didn't know at that point if it was going to be $20 or $21. MCPS had been planning on it being 21, but then learned from the state that there needs to be a change, and so we quickly mobilized to make sure we could make that happen and make sure MCPS gets this federal funding. The second thing I wanted to clarify is that this funding is not part of the $183 million that the county received in CARES funding. So folks are aware of that. This is not taking from that amount. This is in addition to that funding. And this is separate money that was included in the CARES Act for educational jurisdictions across the country. Before I turn it back over to MCPS to kind of go over what the funding will be used for, I did want to note one thing. I'll ask them to follow up on this and provide a little bit more information. But a small portion of these dollars are required to go to private schools within the county, and they can, Mr. Morella or Dr. Smith can provide a little bit more information on that. And then in the packet, we do include some information on what MCPS plans to use the funding for. And of course, they'll be able to go into more detail on some of those aspects. I think that will also bleed into the next discussion we're going to have on the recovery plan. And staff does recommend that the committee recommend approval of this special appropriation.
So Dr. Smith, we'll turn it over to you and your staff to kind of walk us through.
Thank you, Mr. Rice, and thank you to both Councilmember Navarro and Jawando. I will once again reiterate, I have found in my now almost 4 years next week of being superintendent here, tremendous levels of support for public education in this community. And I think sometimes we don't always realize relative to other places in the state and nation, that level of support. I think Councilmember Navarro was spot on when she says we don't really know how hard this is going to hit us. We don't. And we know right now, and we know that that there are things we need to get done this summer, and as we're ready to move into the fall, this federal money will help us. And I'll ask Dr. McKnight and we have Mr. Morella and Ms. McGuire here if there are questions, technical questions that they need to come in. So Dr. McKnight may call on them, or I may call on them to add or provide other information. But we also, I want to reiterate, in my several conversations, primarily with you, Mr. Rice, but also with the full council, it has been stated multiple times, as Councilmember Jawando said, as this unfolds, we just have to stay flexible and come back together and work on this and look at how we can move forward. And we appreciate that flexibility and that understanding, because right now it's hard for any of us to envision all of the things that will have to get done, both in the supporting of adults and in new learnings for adults and new roles for adults, and the supporting of students' well-being and academic needs. Those are just things that are going to continue to unroll, and so I'm sure we'll have many, many more conversations like this in the coming months about how that will look. One thing we do know is that we want to provide lots of time between July 1st, FY21, a week and a half from now, and July 1st of the FY22 year. And that year, we want to provide lots and lots of time to students so that they have opportunities for their academic progress, supporting them, enriching them, and boosting their learning. Whatever they need due to this situation, we want to do our best to provide that, and to provide adults to provide that learning, to provide adults to create and teach other adults. All those things are going to be important in that. So the student, the delivery of service to students, the professional learning for adults, and then the third element there is we need to make sure that when school starts on August 31st, that we have a fully developed technology infrastructure for every student, and with real connectivity options in those families and circumstances where that doesn't exist. And that's really what we've put all our focus on since back in late March, early April, when we contacted you and said, these are the things that are going to be critical to our success going forward. So I will ask Dr. McKnight to talk about the specifics in the CARES money, and then we can respond to questions or provide other information.
Hey, thank you so much, Dr. Smith, for that. And good afternoon, council members. It's always good to see you and to just engage in discussion about how we're going to work in the best interests of our students, families, staff, and communities. So for the CARES Act generally, we sent over a letter earlier just focusing on exactly what that money would be used, and they would be focused around our core priority areas that we see will have to be necessary as we recover from COVID, and continue to be flexible from a health perspective, not even knowing exactly what it'll look like in this coming year. I will say this, thankfully, and we'll talk more about this, we've been able to be really good partners with county government agencies for Health and Human Services, and a number of others who've been able to really talk through helping us predict the future as best we can. But in terms of the CARES Act, the areas that we've been really focused on is professional learning, one. We are going to need to continue to build a robust online option to continue to build the capacity of our staff members to have that option available for our students as we plan out our summer experiences, which will, a lot of that will be online, and as we prepare for the fall, knowing that we are going to have or plan for circumstances of all. Which is bringing in smaller groups of students and rotation of students, as well as having online options available. We've learned a lot through this process, and we've heard from many of our families in circumstances that for some of our students, the online platform actually worked. And we also know that we have families who also expressed interest to us already about there being compromises of immune system and health circumstances that they will have to navigate, whether it's for their children or family members who live in the household. So we are going to need to have a differentiated approach so that however we serve the needs of all of our students, it will be able to benefit all of these various circumstances. So that speaks to the continued need for professional development around implementing, utilizing, monitoring a robust remote learning platform for our teachers to engage in with our students that will continue the robust expectation of learning to continue to occur for our students. In addition to the professional learning around remote learning, there will also be a significant amount of professional learning needed for all of our staff across all associations as it relates to cleaning of areas that we do use for students who we bring into smaller groups, all the way to protocols that our teachers will have to implement immediately for the smaller groups of students that they start to work with. And we're looking at options of bringing them in towards the end of the summer to actually try many of those options to see exactly what it'll be like so that we can make adjustments as we move forward in the fall. So you have professional learning really in a couple of categories here. Use of technology to support remote online learning, use of professional learning to further implement the robust curriculums and even the new platforms that we intend to use to continue to engage our students on online platforming, and professional learning around implementation of completely new health protocols. So that is going to take time with our staff to be able to do that. So that's why that will be a big financial investment for us. The second one is technology. We've been talking about this, and we are committed to making sure we close the gap of our students not being able to access technology, which could interrupt learning when they leave our school buildings. And so we have been able to do that through COVID. And so we're committed to making sure we don't open up that gap ever again, and making sure that our students have all of the our students and teachers have the necessary means to support remote online learning as we move forward. And so implementation of devices, as well as internet access, as well as, again, we already talked about the professional learning piece, to all implement technology will be critical. So that is a focus area for us in terms of CARES. The other area that I'll talk about that's been a priority in our CARES funding is social emotional learning. We all know the impact on students and families have been great. I mean, for many of us, we've probably been impacted in ways that we acknowledge it or don't acknowledge yet, because we've had to adjust life in so many different ways. So let's just take a moment and think about, for our students, that kindergartner who started this as a first year of school, first experience, and then it changed, quite frankly, overnight. And then let's add into that the circumstance of the families who've had to navigate their own situations, whether that may be work, financial situations changing for the family, and then them having to support implementing our online learning within the household. And then we also know that there were circumstances some of our students were navigating before schools were closed that actually gave the schoolhouse a safe haven for them in a number of different ways. That has to be addressed in terms of the acknowledging, one, the impact of all of these different circumstances on our students. And we must have and will continue to make the commitment to support the social emotional needs that will be necessary for our students and families moving forward. So that will be another big category of focus for us, in addition to the staff. How we are supporting them, and quite frankly, having to relearn how they do their work overnight in very different circumstances, in which many of them are also at home with their children. So that will be another area of focus for us. And then finally, looking at all of our programs, we started out this year after a robust year or a year, really taking time to think about what are the curriculum and components that we want to have in place for our students to continue learning. And now we have seen much of the benefits of our curriculum that we've implemented over the past year, and we'll continue to implement that. But we're also going to supplement in many other ways additional programs that we've learned about that will complement our curriculum learning in an online space, knowing that a number of our students will continue to have that online area of teaching and learning occur for them. So those are primarily the areas that you will see that all of our programs, priorities, and benefits will just emphasize use of our CARES Act money, because what we have to acknowledge is that there are many different things we could do, many different things we desire to do, many different things we want to do. But we do have to acknowledge that a number of our students would have been impacted in so many different ways by what happened. And so as much as we can invest in how we engage in summer to bring them back to speed in time that they've missed, as much as we can engage in addressing learning loss and identifying exactly what that loss has been and how we make that up for students, and to keep our students engaged in a number of different ways in programs that are meaningful to them, you know, whether it was coding before we got out, whether it was music and all those other things. How do we continue to keep them engaged? Because for some of them, that's a part of what keeps them going as beings. And so that has to be the core function of our priority moving forward, while there could be many that we focus on in our recovery plan. And so as we think about a CARES Act, those are all of the things that would outline the priorities within the CARES Act that funding will be focused on, and we can even get into more details about what each of those areas will look like. While I will say we are very much in the middle of planning for the fall, now that we feel like we've gotten to a pretty good place for summer, and I can talk more specifically about summer as well. So those are the priorities. I didn't know if you wanted to have some specifics in terms of categories as it relates to these areas within the CARES Act. Mr. Morella can address any of those technical questions, but I did want to give you the overview of the priority.
Excellent. Well, I think that's a great start, and both of my colleagues have questions. I'm going to dispense of my questions because I have a feeling my questions will probably be some of the same ones that my colleagues have. So I'm going to turn to Councilmember Jawando first, followed by Councilmember Navarro, and I'll back clean up. So Councilmember Jawando.
Thank you, Mr. Rice. And thank you, Dr. McKnight, for the overview. You know, obviously, as you mentioned, so many families dealing with so many different issues, you know, two of which you mentioned that I'm dealing with. You know, I have a kindergartner who is like figuring out what's going on or trying to, and also a child receiving special education services who's trying to figure out, you know, what's going on. And and we're a two-parent stable household, relatively stable. I think I'm stable most of the time, and trying to provide that support. And it's very difficult. And so if you could, you know, for folks watching and for our understanding, I'd like to get a little into those populations, some of our youngest children and folks who are speaking English as a second language and our special education students. How are you responding with this 24+ million in light of significant challenges I know they faced, you know, whether it be the ability to interact online at that young of age or with special needs, and what are you thinking, and how is this money going to help go to addressing that, realizing we might be in a prolonged period of, certainly during the summer, but even into the fall, of having to continue some of those activities.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councilmember Jawando, for raising that. So, and I'll give you a few concrete examples that will help you understand. So let's take technology, for instance. So we are now having discussions around, so we know when we think about the smaller groups of students that we start to bring in, those who are first creating their early school experiences, as well as those who are students who may be experiencing difficulties from an online platform that may also be in special population groups. Those are the students that we're focusing on and saying, okay, who needs to benefit from being brought in those smaller group of settings, of school settings early on. And so those are the groups that we're focusing on. In addition to that, just any other students who we identify have had a loss of learning, because a big part of what we'll have to do is an assessment, and we're planning for that. A pre-assessment to have students just, you know, where we left off, we knew exactly what our measuring indicators were for student learning, and that will help us then say, okay, we knew where we were based on what our students tell us about their learning, what happened during this time. And that will help us.
So prioritizing
yes,
populations that when you get into the fall, that would be able to prioritize to help them get the in-person learning is what I'm hearing.
That's exactly right. And maybe even a little bit before, not maybe before the fall, because we're actually going to do some of that at the end of the summer. For some of our students who are in summer programming, that will give us an opportunity to do some assessment there early on. And so we'll have them operate on an online platform for a period of the summer But towards the end of the summer, we actually are going to bring them into the smaller groups to actually test out what that looks like and how well we plan for what we need in the fall. So it will happen before the fall, but definitely that prioritization will continue. We're thinking about who will come in, who will come in more often, what are the physical spaces that we have to utilize, because right now our building capacities have been lowered because we will have to continue to have the 6 feet distancing occur. And so we will then be able to see exactly how many students we're able to fit into those spaces, depending on putting all of those guidances in place as it relates to health responsibilities. Now, when we think about things like technology, we're also saying and looking at, for our early learners, what technology do they work best with? And we've learned some of that from what we have been able to implement over the last couple of months. Are we looking at them being able, our early learners, do they best navigate through technology devices that actually have a keyboard, or do they work better on devices with just a flat platform? And, are they more interested to be able to do independent learning with things that work through an app, or vice versa? So those are the particulars that we're taking into place with the planning, because every learner is different, and we are actually reading, doing research, and learning from our own circumstances of what works better. So those are 2 examples that I can give you in terms of the types of technology we're thinking about for different ages of students, and how we may have to make adjustments there, in addition to the opportunity this summer, at the end of the summer and into the fall, to identify who are those special populations of students who need to benefit from that in-person opportunity as well as others, and developing that on a rotational guide, acknowledging that there are students also who may not be in those groups who show us in many different ways, hey, I need that in-person opportunity as well. Sure. And just, I would say, operating under the pretense that what we need to do to serve one doesn't negate what we need to do for another. We've got to serve all of our students, based on where they all are, but take to account those specifics.
I appreciate that. That's helpful. And just kind of a follow-up question, as far as notification of parents and that dialogue of parental input, I know I've heard that question a lot, and I know obviously you have to go off of, it's a large school system, you have to go through your processes. When do you expect, based on what you know now, that you're going to be able to start letting parents and educators, everybody know when those groups are going to be selected and how that rotation is going to happen, and what's your timeline for that?
Right. So right now, our timeline, we're now collecting lots of feedback from our community. That is a priority for us. We don't want to plan for all the households when we don't know what all the particulars are that are impacting the households. So we've sent out a survey around summer learning opportunities, and actually to even start engaging in discussion in terms of what parents would feel comfortable with their students coming in the summer, and in what format. And so we actually put that out for the summer and as a summer survey, and have advertised it in a number of ways. And that actually, it was advertised from May 31st to June 17th. We also have a survey coming out to have parents give their feedback and what is meaningful for them in terms of timeline of information, what they are what they're comfortable with for the fall, from June 21st until July 8th. For the system, we are still, so that's the input part. For the system, we're still planning because as we get this input, we want that to shape the plans that we are making. We're working with county government and health officials around what are our options and what we can do. So we are looking to have a really good framework to start to talk about early July. By mid-July, have a more refined framework of what it will look like, and really looking for more details to outline what the community members could expect and what they should expect all of this to look like early August. The reason that time is what it is because what we don't want to do is put out something definitive too early. And everything about COVID-19 has taught us that there has to be flexibility. And we know that families are planning for and depending on what we do. And so that's why we're getting their input and putting out the framework. Here's what you can expect. Here's what it could possibly look like with modifications to be able to talk about the tailored pieces of, if your child is coming in, identifying who your child is, if they're coming in a smaller group rotation, what that would look like around the same time that we communicate like course classes and all that stuff, which is in August, as we normally do. Okay.
Thank you very much. I know Councilmember Navarro has questions with that. That's a good start. Thank you.
Council Member Joando, I would just add that the July 14th Board of Education meeting will be kind of the culmination of that first big set of information. So starting on July 6th, right after the holiday weekend, that week, the next week's the week of the 13th, and then that board meeting on the 14th. A lot of information will be coming out in those 10 days or so.
So around the corner, I can't believe it's June 22nd. I mean, it's just the crazy how fast all this is going. So, all right. Thank you very much. Thank you both.
All right, Councilmember Navarro.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. So I just wanted to ask about two overarching issues that are obviously on everybody's mind. It's definitely on my mind. And as you're using these funds, there was a mention of the social emotional component that is just so central right now. And I keep talking about the twin pandemic, so the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as the push right now and the focus on racial equity, social justice. And so I was wondering, how are we connecting the dots with, for example, the executive, is putting together a reimagined public safety task force, right? Mental health is so central to this conversation about reimagining. So that's one piece that when you were talking, all these conversations about funding, for example, are we to then retool funding and maybe invest more in mental health or and emotional health, especially for our young people. So there's that particular piece. And then in terms of curriculum, what an opportunity to then, again, make a very big push at the state level. These are conversations we've had in the past, but obviously, since everybody's so focused on this, the opportunity to start to do advocacy around how do we retool our curriculum to ensure that our Black and Brown students see themselves reflected in the curriculum that they consume on a daily basis as a core function of racial equity and social justice. So I was just curious to know, obviously this particular money has those very important components, and I do see the bullet on ensuring equity of access, et cetera. I'm just wondering, how are you beginning to weave into any funding coming in, sort of those two thoughts, and if MCPS has not been included in this task force of the executive, I think he's in the beginning stages. I really do think that you should be included, because there is such an important conversation that needs to take place with regards to our young people. So something that we need to make sure it happens. But do you have any thoughts on that? How are you starting to kind of envision, reimagine? I mean, year after year, we try so hard to add more psychologists and more people personnel workers and more counselors, et cetera. Year after year, we have conversations about, curriculum and renaming schools and things like that. And I feel that this is just such a critical time to then solidify and really, boost a lot of all this work. Any thoughts about that?
Sure. We actually started around the curriculum 2.5 years ago, and the adoption a year ago, January, of a pre-K-8 literacy curriculum in particular, as well as a mathematics curriculum that is just much more representative of the diversity of our students. And literally hundreds of people were engaged in that. Simultaneously, we have begun the process of looking at social studies and science curricula, as well as all high school curricula. And Dr. McKnight, also, as we've looked at how we have done some reorganization of our organization here, has looked at how we make our equity work pervasive instead of an add-on. And I'll ask her to talk about that in a minute, but we're looking for, how do you think about this in the curriculum, in the physical, social, psychological well-being, in the climate and culture of our schools? How do you think of this as pervasive, as you say, so that students see it every day, all the time, instead of as some sort of extra additional part that we just kind of tack on somewhere? So I'll ask Dr. McKnight about the work she's been doing this year to recenter the equity unit in the center of the organization. That work has touched curriculum, school improvement, human resources. It's touched special education, student services, touched every area of the work. So Dr. McKnight?
Absolutely. It's one I'm most excited about, if you can't tell, because it's critical. We all know it. And I think the first thing that we did to really disrupt our own processes in a way was to put the Equity Initiatives Unit office in the Deputy Superintendent's office. Because that then makes a statement there that instead of trying to figure out how do we add that work on, how do we actually start that work at the inception of everybody's work in the system? Everybody. Curriculum, how do we train all of our employees? How do we onboard all of our new staff? And how do we make it come alive in every bit of the work that we do? And quite frankly, the organizational structure is just it is a structure that we can do to change, but that really depends on how we operationalize that structure. Yeah. So we've been working within the organization, knowing that this new structure we had not planned to implement until July 1st. Well, when we had racial tensions, which we all know have been there, but have been highlighted in a different way over the past few months with the killing of George Floyd and a number of others, we then jumped into action. I mean, I'll say like our equity team and we jumped on a call and said, hey, we have a responsibility. How are we going to right now, before July 1, serve every aspect of the system? And that was a true testament to the work that will continue to happen in that way, Dr. Navarro, because we jumped into action, put out resources to the entire district of staff, of things that could put in place to help support them and where they were in their own personal journey of understanding and identifying the importance of having discussions around race and equity. In addition to that, for our employers, how do we engage with our students who are at home, not even with us right now, who are watching and getting all types of messages about who they are and the value of their life they're watching? And how do we work with our staff to interact with them in the spaces that are available to them and their families to have those discussions? And, we got lots of feedback from our staff members showing so much appreciation. Principal, and thank you so much. Even as we lead this work, we have to have the tools to support our staff in doing that. And so that was a start, but that work will continue. At our last board meeting, we even had a discussion about, so we don't actually teach value of who our students are, particularly our students of color, when they get into high school through selecting an elective to learn about themselves and their history. We tell them their value when they come to us. And so that starts in conversations in kindergarten, developing a being of who they are and what the contributions have been made on behalf of them and their own cultures. How do they develop that sense of self-pride and positivity about who they are as early as possible? And so the curriculum team and I are excited to really even talk about how do we further do that on top of all of the things that we've done with our curriculum over the last few years to say, all right, when they walk into our schools, we want them to know exactly what are all the things they have to be proud of as it relates to their history and their contributions of their ancestors, and how do we intentionally make sure those things are taught and equip our staff to be able to provide those lessons. So that is
yeah. So, very rarely do I sit in a committee session and literally get goosebumps. That's exactly what's happening, because what you just described, it's literally like the desired state, if you will, in my personal sort of vision for our county. Because when we do talk about mental health services and programs to help with social emotional health for our students, what you just described is absolutely central to that, right? So when that child walks into that building and the messages are affirming and that child sees him or herself reflected in not just the curriculum, but the images, and it's from a asset perspective versus a deficit perspective, and it's integrated. That is completely life altering versus what we have now, which is that in some places that does happen, but in many other places it does not. And as a parent, I have so many anecdotes that stand out in my mind, but one particular one is when I was trying to apply to the Spanish immersion program with my, kindergartner. I was pregnant with my second child, and I walked into Rolling Terrace Elementary School, and everything there screamed, "We value our diversity." Everything. From the moment I walked in, the images, the murals, everything. But you know what? When I went to Rock Creek Forest, it was completely different. And I was kind of, keeping my fingers crossed, because here I am going to have this cute little Afro-Latina child. And I'm like, oh, she gets into Rolling Terrace, because, well, she got into Rock Creek Forest. And it was a great experience. But I got to say, it was very different, right? I mean, during the orientation, I was told that this program was not for, parents who were native Spanish speakers. And I'm like, well, I'm just 50% of that. But anyway, all I can tell you is that I know it would have made a huge difference for my daughters if this was the MCPS that they were walking into. And I am thrilled that we are literally kind of like boosting this effort right now, so that very soon every single child that walks in has that experience, right? That it is integrated, like you were saying, that it's not like the tourist model, whereas, well, we'll add it here as an extra, we'll tack it on as the other thing, but that it is integrated. And lastly, what I'll say about this is that this is so important for our white students too, to learn about each other's history, to understand who we all are. That is really powerful. My daughter at White Oak Middle School did have an opportunity to take an elective, and it was a civil rights class that a teacher put together. And actually, I kept proposing that we should do that, and it wasn't very successful when I was on the board. But it was an eighth grade, I believe it was eighth grade elective. But they learned about the whole, the entire civil rights movement, the history, everything like that. And you know what? My daughter said to me, "Gosh, Mom, it changed the dynamic between all the students in the classroom." Because then for white students, they were kind of like, whoa, you mean to tell me that this just happened? Like, it wasn't that long ago, right? The folks could vote. And then for Black students or Latino students, like, oh, wow, I didn't. So it creates a different understanding of who we are and what it is that we are all facing, that I believe is so central, right? And so, being able to have that throughout, I think it's super powerful. And as I said earlier, I think we'll see a difference in discipline issues and the overrepresentation. I think we will see, obviously, a difference in academic achievement. There is no doubt that we're going to see that. We will see so many of these disparities that we have been tracking for so long reduced or eliminated by virtue of having a school system that absolutely reflects all of these, cultures and history, et cetera. So again, I know it was a long-winded thing, but, as much as we're talking right now about mental health and social-emotional curriculum and how are we going to use the funds, because this is ultimately about how are we using our resources. Just so excited to hear what you're doing and so supportive of this particular kind of approach. I will be watching that real closely, and I will be, a champion for you, because again, it's going to ultimately be about how are we assigning our resources to further this very ambitious goal, and we're all going to have to be on the same page to do that. So thank you. That was awesome.
See, sometimes, so sorry, go ahead, Dr. McKnight.
No, I was just going to say, well, thank you. You gave me goosebumps there as well. Because that's how serious it is. It's just that serious. And as we had the conversation, I don't mean to sound cliche, but it was Frederick Douglass that said, it is easier to build strong children than it is to repair broken men.
That's right.
That's right.
That is so true. And we have an opportunity for our kids for us to build them. That's what we do. We have to build them up in every way possible from the first experience they have with us. And that's through their being, through their value, through their learning, through every experience. And with that vision, there are a lot of people and things that are in between that. You have that vision and then you have implementation. And there are a lot of things that are in between it. And so talk about the professional learning and the commitment to do that. I mean, it is going to take every bit of our energy and time and resources to invest in that. But that's what we know has to be done in the way you described it. So, I mean, I'll go on, but I will stop there. Councilmember Rice, I know you wanted to get in, but it has to be a non-negotiable for us, and it's just the next step, and it's time, and we're there. And I thank you for that.
No, I was just going to say that this is the great thing about being chair sometimes of what I think is the best committee on the Montgomery County Council, is that I get to just be like, amen. I mean, I don't need to say another word. You heard it from my colleagues, address all the things that are incredibly important to us. And it really is that any child who walks in, regardless of their circumstance, is able to achieve, whether it's financial, whether it's because they have a challenge with learning the same way that other kids learn. It doesn't matter what it is. We meet them where they are, and we ensure that they can live up to the best of their potential. Something that I've heard everybody say and espouse. And the key, like Councilmember Navarro said, is we got to put the resources behind it. We can say it, but then we have to put the money behind making sure that it happens, right? That we commit to it, to ensure that a parent, a father like Councilmember Jawando can know and feel confident that his children are going to be taken care of, that they're going to have everything that they need, understanding that the two parents at home cannot do it all. I mean, that's a great point to understand, that even with two parents at home that are professionals, that are involved and engaged, it still doesn't guarantee that success. We rely upon our system to really put the fine point on it, to make these things happen for our kids, to ensure that opportunity. And when we invest and we're committed to making it happen, then those things, we see the great results. We've seen it, right? We just haven't seen it for all of our kids.
That's right.
And so, and that's where we're focused now. And I think that we find ourselves in a great place. So thank you to my colleagues. You know, you left me speechless. So it's a beautiful thing.
Mr. Rice?
Dr. Smith, please. Yes.
I was just going to answer your question earlier so we didn't lose it. Of the $24 million, under the methodology that's used in the title programs, and it was used for this legislation also, percentage of that money, a little over $2 million of it does go to what the legislation calls non-public schools, but they're actually talking about private schools. And so that does happen as a regular part of multiple federal laws, and that methodology was applied to this one. So we'll receive about $22 million of the funding.
Excellent. No, thank you for that. And we would hope that folks who may be paying attention, like the Councilmember Jawando says, for the millions that are watching at home, we hope some of those are our private school partners and are hearing this conversation, to reflect upon that and how they might be able to utilize that money as well, in the same sort of vein and respect that we are trying to achieve this for all of our students, regardless of whether they attend one of our Montgomery County public schools or one of our many independent schools throughout the county as well. The goal should be the same, to ensure that all of our kids are living up to their fullest potential. So hopefully they'll, in that same spirit, follow the lead of Montgomery County Public Schools.
Absolutely.
So with that, somebody about to, let me turn, Mr. Howard, have we left anything out, or do we just need a motion at this point?
Just need a motion.
All right, so I'll turn to my colleagues. Is there a motion to approve the funds?
So moved.
It's been moved by Councilmember Navarro, seconded by Councilmember Jawando. All those in favor, please raise your hand. And that is unanimous from the committee. So thank you very much. We're going to turn to our next. Now, I know that we've kind of delved into this a little bit already in the MCPS Recovery of Education Plan, and we've talked about what it is that we want to see when we're talking about building a stronger system, right? So it was interesting when folks talk about rebuild, recovery, and then kind of renew and reactivate and all kinds of the re's that are out there with regard to where we are. It is one in which I think all recovery should have new action. Recovery means that something affected you negatively. You want to inoculate yourself from whatever that was that affected you, but you also want to make sure that you're building yourself stronger so that if something like that does happen again, you're more resilient, right? And so building that resiliency is always important. And so a part of recovery is always about building that resiliency. And so, again, we have our same guests that are here, but certainly with the COVID-19 global pandemic and the fiscal pressure that we see that's affecting us, at the same time, we passed a continuity of services budget. But the reality is that we knew that there would still be items for us to continue to discuss about how we can continue to build the system after we had passed that budget. And working together with my colleagues on the committee and with you, Dr. Smith and Dr. McKnight, and of course with Ms. Evans and the board, we intend to rebuild an even stronger education system that's going to do what Councilmember Giwando and Councilmember Navarro just espoused, making sure that we're delivering on all those points to ensure that we've got that success for all students. So let me turn to my colleagues, but I think that we've kind of already framed what it is. So let me turn to Mr. Howard to kind of just lay some of the baseline, and then we can go right into discussion.
Sure, I'll be real quick. You've already hit the highlights of kind of the lead into this conversation, and we anticipate we'll have a series of these on different topics and issues as the end of the summer and the fall progresses. We've included on here, attached to the packet, is the update that the Board of Education received on the 11th on the Recovery of Education Plan, and the NCPS folks will speak to a lot of different components of that, and I'm sure there'll be lots of questions and discussion. Just a couple of things I wanted to highlight that we won't necessarily talk all the way through, but I want everyone to know is in the packet. Ms. Rodriguez-Hernandez put together some information related to requests from the Black and Brown Coalition related to the recovery of learning. And I know the board talked about those at their meeting, and the committee may want to discuss those with Dr. Smith and Dr. McKnight and staff. And then also we put together a summary of some of the Kerwin Commission recommendations. In a typical budget year, we would have spent a lot of time in the committee talking about Kerwin funding and what the likely outcomes of that would be. At the time, we of course didn't know that it was going to be vetoed by the governor. Again, Ms. Rodriguez-Hernandez has put together a summary of what the Kerwin recommendations were. A lot of that will play into recovery of education efforts and what education will look like going forward. And so this will kind of be a resource that we will have for future work sessions as well when we want to get into more details on the Kerwin efforts, especially seeing where that ends up going if the legislature comes back and passes that bill again. So with that, I'll turn it back to you, Chairman Rice.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Howard. And let me just say that one of the benefits of us having Bridge to Kerwin is we actually still have that year of commitment of additional support from the state to local school jurisdictions to help to bridge that gap to get us to what would be full Kerwin implementation. And so, no one knew that we'd be in the midst of a global pandemic. No one knew that we'd be in civil unrest. No one knew all these things that would be happening. But in fact, this bridge is actually, and no one knew that the governor would veto it, although I had a feeling. But that being said, that aside, I don't get political. That being said, it is one of the things where, again, that is a tremendous help for us in terms of down payment, in terms of what it is that we're trying to do. Mm-hmm. So, Dr. Smith, let me turn to you. Of course, we know that there are going to be questions about summer school and the extended year. professional learning, curriculum and assessment, social emotional well-being of all of our kids, what some of the operations are. Again, there are lots of people who have questions about what's going to happen when it comes to childcare in the schools. So those kinds of questions, as well as the technology, policies, and regulations around people coming and going from your school, because obviously a school that's open is a community asset that you treated it as before. Will that still be the same? Understanding that there are huge liabilities and repercussions for that. So I'm going to just kind of leave it to you to kind of discuss some of the salient points, and then I'll just turn to my colleagues afterwards. I want us to be able to have the robust conversation first in terms of laying it all out. Then I'll turn in reverse order from what we did last time. I'll do Councilmember Navarro and then Councilmember Joando in terms of questions, and I'll back clean up again. So Dr. Smith?
Certainly, bridging from our last conversation to this one, and it is all very much the same conversation, actually. When we think about, and I've heard Councilmember Navarro say this many times, when we talk about the social fabric of our community, and that's what we're talking about with the inequities that exist in access and opportunity, we're also talking about the economic fabric of our community. The future of our community is dependent on us continuing to evolve as a school system where everybody has access and opportunity, and everybody can both benefit and contribute to this community as they live and grow here. It's absolutely essential. And therefore, it's in everyone's best interest to make sure that all children get access, all children have opportunity. When I say there's a real difference, you know, somebody can let me into the party, but if no one speaks to me, no one, you know, hands me something to drink or a plate of food, no one offers me birthday cake, then I'm not really in the party. Well, you've got to create real opportunity, which means there's an absolute commitment to success for every child. And that's real opportunity. Access, we've been working on, and I've told you some rather disturbing stories at this table with the Education Culture Committee of lack of access. We've changed a lot of that in the last 4 years. We need to continue to build the access, but we also then have to have a real spirit and commitment to opportunity. And when you look at the 8 points from the Black and Brown Coalition, that's about that commitment right there. That's what it's asking for, is a commitment to access and opportunity that leads to high levels of success for every child. And the Black and Brown Coalition was a very appropriate and I think good response to the resource allocation study that the school system and the board embarked on about 2 years ago. And knowing how we use those resources, both the financial resources and the human resources of teachers, of principals, of all of our support systems, all of our ways of doing business is critically important. And that resource study has had a significant impact on the school system. And not everyone has loved that, and I understand that, but I don't agree with it. I don't accept it. And the resources simply have to be looked at. And then when you think about the Kerwin work, that's really about striving for excellence, and excellence in the 21st century. It's an excellent school system. It was an excellent school system long before I came here. It, I think, continues to be an excellent school system. We can find many, many stories of excellence and high levels of learning and achievement, not for all students. That's why the two have to come together. The asks from the Black and Brown Coalition, the areas of highlight from the resource allocation study, and the goals of Kerwin moving forward must come together, and that will be our way forward. And so what we've done in terms of thinking about the continuity of learning, which was just keeping us moving and building all spring, and there were literally thousands and thousands of people engaged in that. We went from an announcement that we were closed for 2 weeks to standing up a system that supplied meals, computers, connectivity, and opportunity and experience for children online. That's what's happened. And it was that Did that work this spring? Yes. Was it as good as we wanted it to be? No. And that's what we've got to do now, is continue to strive to make it better and make it grow. And so we really have two areas that we want to talk about. Dr. McKnight is prepared to walk you through this, just so you don't have to listen to me for the next hour. And then Ms. McGuire is here to talk about the operational pieces in response to your questions or in response to Dr. McKnight. And Mr. Morella is here if there are any technical questions about the budget. But that's how all of these pieces fit together. And Mr. Howard, I thought that the introduction of this, when I read it, was so well done and brought everything together that is a part of this conversation in our community right now. So I want to thank you for that. Dr. McKnight?
Dr. McKnight, go ahead. And I know for Michelle and Nick, Councilmember Navarro is trying to get back in. So I know she had some technical issues. Go ahead, Dr. McKnight.
Hey, so, oh, there she is. Welcome back, Councilmember Navarro.
Happy to be back. Thank you, guys.
We missed you. I can actually start. Dr. Smith just spoke through some of the things that we're doing as it relates to some of the requests and things that we've already working on as a result of the ERS study that's in alignment with the Black and Brown Coalition request. And so I do feel like many of the things that come in the request as it relates to expanded learning opportunities, that's very present in our summer learning plan, which I'll talk about more specifically, just so that you'll have the context of what we're doing. The meaningfully engaging students through curriculum recovery practices, that relates to us identifying, again, the students through a pre-assessment process and thinking about the impact of learning that COVID-19 has had, and identifying those groups of students and bringing them in within smaller group settings as we work in the system, and everything around, planning effectively for our vulnerable population of students, addressing trauma from COVID-19. All of those things are included in our summer and fall plan. I will give you a few updates on a little bit of what each of those looks like so that you'll have a context for our earlier we talked about the surveys going out, and we started in May getting feedback from our parents and students around summer opportunities. With all of that feedback and knowing what programs have been successful in the past and how we are making adjustments for many of them utilizing an online platform, for our elementary students, we are continuing to have the extended learning opportunities through summer learning adventures we call the ELO SAIL program. It's going to be a 4-week program, still full day summer program for all Title I elementary schools. And so in that program, we still have the mathematics, reading, science, as well as the other interest areas like coding, fine arts, and project-based learning opportunities. So that ELO SAIL program will continue to exist in all of our Title I elementary schools. We still have the extended school year program, which is the 4 or 5-week program, which are half day for our eligible special education, students receiving special education services. And that program is addressed for specific IEP goals. We have for elementary as well 2 additional things. The Summer Up program, which is a 4-week program for select elementary schools, and it really focuses just on reading and math. The content in those courses are grade level and course specific. This year we are doing something in addition to those programs which we've offered before for elementary, and it's the George B. Thomas Learning Academy, which we have traditionally always offered on Saturdays, but this summer we have included an opportunity for it to be a 5-week program, or actually K through 12 students. It's going to be offered 3 days a week, and it's going to focus on reading, math, SAT, and ACT prep. So that is, again, a new program that we put in place this summer to address areas of interest of our communities, and again, just to provide additional opportunities for families. We also have the Math Boost program and the ELA Boost program, both synchronous, meaning they're going to be a 3-week summer program for elementary students, focusing on content that was covered in marking period 4. That's going to be really important for them from the upcoming grade level. So we're going to do that for ELA and math, again, both being considered boost programs. And then we're also going to have the enrichment programs And those are going to be 3-week-long programs for all of our elementary students. And they're going to focus on fine arts, STEM, language, literature, wellness, where they get to explore Spanish, coding, digital art, all of those things, again, to continue to keep that engagement. We know from our community, they're also very much missing the summer camp and enrichment experiences. I have an 8-year-old son who reminds me of that every day when he says, what about camp this summer? And I'm saying, you'll
we all hear that regardless of what
Yeah,
it is.
exactly right. I was saying that's probably times 1,000,000.
Yes, every day. And I patiently answer every day. It's just a different camp experience this summer. But again, looking at some of those enrichment opportunities are really to get at things in addition to reading and math that many of our students would take in some of the summer programs, to just not have them lose complete interest and to have access to some of their interest areas. For our middle school programs, we are continuing to do the ELA and math boost that I talked about for elementary. We're having them in middle school programs, and they're going to be focused on literacy and math. Those programs, all of these are going to happen from July 13th to August 7th, with an exception of our high school credit programs will go to August 14th. But this will happen in the middle school setting. Again, it'll be 3 hours per day, including live synchronous daily interactions with the teachers. And this is free for all students and open to all students. So we are, again, putting this out there, letting our community know these are available, have our students sign up so that they can participate. And then in middle school, we're also going to have the enrichment camps and programs, and those will be based on the local schools and programs that they're able to provide for students. And again, that's that coding, theater, arts, and all of those summer adventure camps and things like that each school have the flexibility to host. And so we did a survey and had our schools actually say and share with us what programs they would be able to host. So we essentially will have a packet of where all these, what school locations are hosting these programs as families consider their options. And then for high schools, we continue to have summer programs that are non-credit programs. Again, the boost programs focusing on courses like them preparing for the next math level from Algebra 1 all the way to pre-calculus. And again, those are non-credit courses, but just a course provided for high schools who need that boost. They are happening from July 13th to July 31st, or they can take the session from July 20th to August 7th. And then we also have some enrichment and enrichment focused programs that are more camp-like for our high school students that are, again, non-credit and just for continued opportunities of engagement. And then we also have our credit courses online for our high school students. And this year we were very intentional with going back and looking at which high school courses have been most popular every single year and making sure that we pay attention to that and provide those opportunities for our students, and thinking about what the experience would need to be online that do not compromise the quality of those courses, considering the fact that they're credit courses. And so those courses are going to be provided to our students as credit online courses for high school students, July 13th through August 14th. And these will be courses that are traditionally offered during the summer. Students who want to repeat courses or make up courses, that will be an opportunity for them. And that really fits nicely into how we ended the year. Quite frankly, I know you all were very tuned into our discussions about making sure we had that case management process in line for any of our students who, despite all of the things that we did to make sure they were having all possible ways to not be impacted by COVID-19 negatively, we did that case management. We're very proud of how we were able to just help students get over. But for any of those, again, who wanted to repeat a course, to raise GPA or whatever those things may be, we have that opportunity for them who may have taken the course originally and they just want to raise a grade from before. So we all have all of that, and all of that's online with synchronous instruction. So just want to give you a glimpse of overall what the programs are that we're offering at each level for summer. And the goal ultimately is just to maximize student engagement over the summer while acknowledging that there's been learning loss, and our students need the opportunity to have continued engagement, whether they're trying to raise GPAs, if they just want to have more focus on courses that they felt like they wanted to have more time with COVID-19 or whatever it may be. So that's our wide variety of menu options that we put out to our families. I'll stop there, see if there are any questions about any of those particular programs that I shared.
So let me turn in reverse order to Councilmember Navarro and then Councilmember Duando. So Councilmember Navarro, any questions?
I don't have any questions.
All right, Councilmember Duando.
Me either. It was very well explained, so I'm good.
So Dr. McKnight, look at that. You done stumped us.
I'm trying to give all the details.
No, that's great. It really is something in laying out, and I really like the fact, and it can't be stated enough, about the relationship between the Black and Brown Coalition and MCPS. I mean, seriously, because here's an entity that's asking you to do things completely different in some cases from the way you've done them before, to push you to push our teachers and our administrators to do things differently, and you've embraced it. It's very easy for an organization to say, look, that's just not the way we do it. That's not what we want. But you've really embraced all of the methodology that's there and acknowledged the challenges that are faced with our Black and Brown children and making sure that they have the support necessary. And so I just really want to say thank you for that, because that is a very big step that a lot of entities can't do. They haven't been able to get past that first step yet. And the fact that we're there and moving forward says a lot about you as an organization. It says a lot about you as leaders, and really says a lot about your commitment to education. And it's not just about words. It's actually about making things happen. So really appreciate that.
I actually do want to say one thing. I'm sorry.
Councilmember Duando. Yep.
Yeah, and I really appreciate the way you all laid out the 8 goals. I had a chat with a group of educators and support staff last week. I think they're all running together, but just really want to lift up how difficult and this transition has been for them, to try to, obviously the students and families, but different levels of being able to engage your students, technology issues, dealing with the social emotional impacts themselves, just go down the list, and children, right? And many of them, their own children. So I just wanted to really appreciate that as part of this, you're talking about proper planning time and, making sure that they have the enhanced PD to really understand what they need to do in this new world, as well as preparing for them. So I just wanted to give voice to that, because I think often we, rightly so, talk about the kids, but it's really, I know it's been very difficult for a lot of the educators and professionals as well. So,
absolutely, great point. All right, well, since we're through that, let me turn to Ms. Rodriguez Hernandez to talk a little bit about current commission summary. So we're on item C for those who are following along with us.
Sure, of course. So you will see in the packet that the summary of the current commission's final recommendations are included. It focuses on the 5 policy areas as well as the funding formula work group. Going through, starting with the early childhood education work group that Councilmember Rice chaired for the current commission, focused on expanding high quality pre-K, as well as providing more training and technical assistance for providers and wraparound services from centers like family support centers or duty centers. The second is the high quality and diverse teachers and leaders, talking about preparation certification standards, bringing the teaching profession up to par with the education that teachers go through for their profession, as well as increasing their compensation and providing them the appropriate time and resources to collaborate with other school staff to ensure that a student's needs are all met. We have the third one, which is the college and career readiness pathways, focusing on college and career readiness by 10th grade, as well as specialized programs for 11th and 12th grade, and curriculum and interventions for students who are not meeting readiness by 10th grade. And there also is included more early interventions. So it's not just at high school where we're making sure that they'll be college and career ready, but also even in the elementary school level. The fourth is resources to ensure all students are successful, and this is focusing on at-risk students, especially including the concentration of poverty school grant, which provides a full-time community school coordinator for where 55% or more students are eligible for free and reduced price meals, and including additional weights for at-risk students and per pupil funding formulas. And then the fifth policy area is the governance accountability work group, which provided recommendations including an independent oversight board to monitor progress, and utilizing review teams to ensure that states and local jurisdictions or the state and local jurisdictions are able to meet their performance measures and the standards set by the Kerwin Commission. And then the sixth work group was the funding formula work group that worked last year in 2019, mainly that helped decide the state and local distribution for funding and requirements, as well as how the funding formulas should be set and the weights that would be added to based on at-risk students or English language learners or special needs students. They help determine those funding formulas and the cost of the 10-year phase-in implementation program for Kerwin.
Well, thank you for that, Ms. Rodriguez-Hernandez. Let me just say that my question is more for MCPS in terms of procedural. Has there been any conversation with Dr. Salmon or MSDE surrounding if, in fact, the veto is overridden, how quickly there would be an expectation of implementation of Kerwin Commission recommendations?
Well, there has been that conversation, and as of May, the decision was still under discussion about whether or not to have a special session this fall or to come back into the regular General Assembly session for a multitude of reasons, not just because of Kerwin. I don't want to misrepresent that. But the thought is that because of the final changes that were made to Kerwin around the economics of it all, that the hope would be that it could be, getting into a pretty significant level of implementation by FY23, based on what's happened with the COVID-19 and the economy. And it just really will depend on that. I know that MSD was gearing up once the recommendations all came out and it was starting to form up in the General Assembly during this past session, before the session ended abruptly, to work specifically in these areas. And so I think it's just going to depend on what happens. And I don't know if this is political or not, Mr. Rice, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's essential to the future of this state that we shift and make these changes. It's absolutely essential for, as I said, the fabric of the state, the social fabric, the economic fabric, all of those things, the structure of this state. It's critical that we do this for our future as a state and as a community. And so I'm hopeful. And I want to add my thanks to Ms. Rodriguez-Hernandez, because when I thanked Mr. Howard, I did not thank you. And so thank you for the way this was put together, because I really believe it brings the two big issues together on 4 pieces of paper, which is kind of amazing when you look at how that's structured. So that's where it is right now. I know we'll know more in September, October than we do now, but right now the hope is that the law will be repassed without a veto early in the next session or before, and then try to move forward from there.
So, Dr. Smith, thank you for saying that, and certainly something in which, look, spent 3 years on this commission, and really feel as though, from the folks I've talked to across the nation, I presented this National Association of Counties and a number of different other entities around, who have really been very positively receptive to the recommendations that we put forth in the blueprint. And it really is something that I hope folks, once things have settled a bit, we'll be able to take a closer look at. I will say something that you said and double down on it a little bit more, because I think that oftentimes in the midst of pandemics, in the midst of
I think we lost everyone
I
else.
froze. Can you guys hear me?
There you go. Yep.
Sorry about that, guys. I had to turn off my video. I'm experiencing the same thing. Councilmember Navarro, the bug is now tracking me.
I sent it over to you.
Right? So I'm actually going to leave my video off because I know that's taking up bandwidth. But let me just say that it really is one in which it is incredibly important for us in times of unrest to actually still be committed to change. A lot of people don't like to do that. They like to just say, no, there's unrest, there's craziness going on, let's just keep things the way they are. And the reality is there's no better time for us to do it, especially when it comes to those who are the most vulnerable. This is the time in which we need to step up and make sure we're doing all we can to protect them, to give them more options. And so from that perspective, I think that we're doing a great job by really continuing to push this forward. And I want to thank both you and the board for continuing to embrace curling. And the methodology that's there really is tied directly to all of the conversations we've had earlier, which you heard from Councilmember Navarro and Councilmember Juando, in terms of what it is that we expect and see. And that is to ensure that we can have a very robust system that does fight for all of our kids and ensure their ability to be able to succeed and achieve all that they want to. So with that, let me turn to my colleagues, see if there are any questions or additional comments. I think that we've had a very robust discussion today. I feel very excited and promised about what's going on. Ms. McGuire, do you maybe want to chime in a little bit about operations and facility plans? I know that there have been some comments about the facilities themselves and questions about that. And then also about school meals, because I know that's a part in terms of facilities as well. So if you could give us an update on that, that would be great.
Sure, thank you. I'm happy to. So we certainly, there's a lot of work to be done in the operations field, and we're working very closely with all of our colleagues in the system around how to support those programs that we know are happening through the summer. And as Dr. McKnight and Dr. Smith were sharing, that we do want to work towards introducing an in-person component later this summer. And so we're working very closely around that. Of course, there's preparation to do in the buildings, as well as to really be sure that we can implement faithfully the social distancing and other protective requirements that we know we need to have in place. So we're working through those protocols, and again, working very closely, not only with our colleagues in MCPS, but working very closely with the county. Community Use of Public Facilities has been a great partner in terms of just having an alignment of thought around and of practice around public spaces, around how to move forward together. And of course, Dr. Gales in public health. So we're really, again, just wanting to have a very coordinated approach to all of our public facilities, schools included, as well as, again, working, excuse me, with the other community agencies. So we're going to continue to put that through, and as has been shared, we'll just continue to be able to put that framework out as we are building it. In terms of the meals, we again continue to put out meals every day, and we're very happy to be able to do that. Our numbers are growing. We've now crossed over 3 million meals since March 16th. I think we'll have to start a new count for the summer since we're entering a new phase, but we did hit that right around the end of school. What we know over the summer is that we're going to be able to do the same sites, and also we're increasing the number of sites, because over the summer our normal practice is, of course, to submit. Thank you, Mr. Rice. Our normal our normal practice over the summer is to support those summer programs. And so even though we're starting in a remote setting, we still can use the location of those programs to be able to provide that additional meal support. So we are able to stand up some additional sites in conjunction with those summer programs. So we'll be doing that. And then, of course, just going to work very closely with our state and federal colleagues around what exactly meal service is going to look like in the fall. We know it's going to be important, but there does need to be a regulatory model that reflects the fact that we're likely to be in an unusual situation, whatever that looks like. We do need the regulatory structure to support us and support us in supporting our schools.
Let me just say thank you, because when it comes to this commitment to feed our children, I want to be very clear. I was just on a conference call at the end of last week, and Fairfax was on the call. Fairfax has not been able to stand up weekend backpack programs for its kids, nor have they been able to stand up a large amount of distribution sites for their children as well when it comes to meals, nor have they been able to do 3 meals a day that Montgomery County has been able to do as well. And this is the largest school district, right, in this Washington metropolitan area, right? And so I say to myself, wow, that says something. It says something not only operationally about what you guys were able to achieve, but also, again, the commitment. From the very beginning, we knew that this was going to require us to really get a handle on this, and for you guys to do it and then commit over the summer. And that was one of my major concerns, was about falling back and to actually step into this and say, no, we're going to do more. It's needed, it's welcome, it's appreciated. It really is, because it makes a tremendous difference. All of us, Councilmember Navarro, Councilmember Joanna, who've been working on food insecurity in our own respects, right, understand just how important this is about putting food on the tables and food in the bellies of children, who would otherwise go without. That's a big deal. And so really is something that needs to be lifted up. When it comes to the framework piece, and I certainly understand that MCPS hasn't gotten there yet in terms of understanding what that is. I know when it comes to our community use of public facilities, folks are really looking at what that iteration is going to be. I just want to, say that I do understand completely the liability issues that are there, the operations of what needs to happen. All of those kinds of things are very different. It's not the same as you just turning on the lights and opening up the door and saying, please come on in. There are a lot more things that you need to think about in that respect, and so certainly understand that. I do just also want to make sure that we try and communicate to our folks as quickly as possible what our intentions are, what our limitations may be, so that they know and can plan for the fall and figure out what the right modality might be for them. I've suggested, and I haven't necessarily said this to my colleagues yet, so it's the first time of me saying it, but certainly for those who have already been utilizing space in our public schools, understanding that that space may not be the same or may not be available at all, they should really start looking at a lot of our office spaces that are vacant and look at leases there where they could accomplish the same thing. Because the reality is they're not using a classroom in our schools anyway, right? It's a generic space. It's not one of the actual classrooms where they're doing this work. And so you could stand up another place rather quickly and easily, just as you do with the space inside the school system, and probably get decent rates on it as well. So again, these are conversations that I think we'll need to continue to have. I know that Councilmember Navarro has been working with some of my other colleagues to lead the effort in terms of early care and education and really work on making sure that those kinds of things happen. And those are for some of the individuals who are already in business and have their own spaces. But for those who don't, or who are working with our school system and other government buildings, there'll certainly need to be more conversations about how we can continue to stand those entities up to make sure that we can get them, if they're not going to work with our schools, another place where they can try and still do the same sort of effort. So, any comments from my colleagues or any other questions? Councilmember Navarro.
I just want to say that I think it's been very thorough. I do appreciate this, update very much. I'm sure that we will be hearing, a lot of different things as time goes on, but I think it's been very, very thorough, very comprehensive. So thank you.
Excellent. Councilmember Joanna.
I agree. I just wanted to express my thanks. I know I'll be talking to all of you soon. As flexibility is the name of the game here. So as we move forward, and really appreciate all the work that you all are doing.
Excellent. I want to thank our staff, both Mr. Howard and Ms. Rodriguez Hernandez, for all of your great work and combining with staff from MCPS in a great package. So thank you, Mr. Morella. Thank you, Ms. McGuire. Of course, our leaders, Dr. Smith and Dr. McKnight. This has been a very robust conversation. I think we've gained a lot. I hope that for the millions that are watching at home, they gained a lot of insight into the planning that's going about, as well as what we hope to see accomplished. And I certainly know that, again, as we have these continued follow-up calls, both in terms of the rebuilding effort that is spearheaded by the county executive, and we've been pushing the county executive to make sure that those meetings come to fruition. So I think that we'll have one of those soon from a recovery work group standpoint. But certainly here in Education Committee, we'll certainly have these conversations as well about our recovery looks like and how we can continue to support you in that effort. So thank you very much to everyone, and I think we are adjourned. Have a great day.
Thank you all very much. Very much appreciated.
Please allow more space between vehicles to accommodate longer stopping distances. Remember that Maryland law requires the headlight